Welcome guys to the next principle. This principle is straight ahead and pose to pose. Now I will try and explain this in the simplest way and why the hybrid method works. Okay guys, so this is an example of pose to pose. The top one is pose to pose, the bottom one is straight ahead. Timings are the same, 20 frames. So let's check this out. Okay, now the difference is with pose to pose, you can really plan out. On one pose, I want the character here. On pose 10, I want the pose here. And on pose 20, I want the pose here. Now the straight ahead method, you can see there's more keys and it's more smoother. So what essentially this means is you have more control as you're going. So instead of going from pose 1 in pose to pose and then pose 10 and then pose 20, you're working every, say, 3 frames. So first pose I want like this, second pose I want here, third pose I want here, and then the fourth pose here, which essentially is kind of pose to pose, but you've got more control. You can plan in straight ahead animation, you can kind of go with the flow more, right? So you're doing like frame 1, frame 2, or maybe frame 1, frame 3, frame 4. Whereas pose to pose is very regimented. I want this at this frame, this frame, this frame, this frame. Then you go back in to like the in-betweens, and then you might start playing around with the poses there, seeing what works. Whereas straight ahead animation is kind of where you're going in a flow, you know, frame 1, frame 2, frame 3. It's not strictly like this frame is going to be this pose, then like you're not putting all those key poses in. You're also putting the breakdowns as you're doing the key poses. But the best method I found was the hybrid method. So you do a bit of both. So you're trying to get those poses in where you want them, then you're bringing in those breakdowns as well as you're doing the animation. So I would normally work where I might pose a character. I might put my key poses in first, so pose to pose. Then I come in and then I start adding the breakdowns. Then I might move my keys a bit, my key poses so I can get the timing right. So this is one way you can work as well. But I found that the hybrid method works better, which is basically keying every 3 frames, for me anyway. Some people like pose to pose and then coming back, putting the breakdowns in. But I prefer it where I'm doing straight ahead every 3 frames or every 4 frames. And then I might come in between those 3 or 4 frames and then work on the in-between. So I might work, for example, here, it's every 3 frames, right? So I might even stretch this out, snap, yeah. And I might be like, all right, from here to here, let's check the middle. I might want the character to come down a bit, so I might add that. Here I might want the character to be up a bit, so I might add that. And then here I might want the character to be up a bit here. So it's a method that you have to decide, but the main difference is with pose to pose, you're just regimented. You're putting a pose here, basically, and then a pose here, and then a pose here, if we look at the top one. And with straight ahead, you're going with the flow. So you're doing, all right, frame 1 is like this, then frame 2 like this, frame 3 I want like this. Then maybe I want this pose to hit this frame at 10, or maybe I can move it to 5, want it to hit earlier. It's up to you. So it all depends on how you want to do it. Pose to pose, you can do it, then add the breakdowns. Straight ahead, you just go in with the flow. Just going as you're animating, like 1, frame 2, I want the pose like this, frame 3 like this, frame 4 like this. So they're the main differences. But the best method I found is the hybrid method. You use both, which is basically working straight ahead, keying every 3 frames, every 4 frames, and then playing around with the timing to get to how you want it. All right, guys, I will see you in the next lesson.